If you do something, if you go to the gym because I told you, it's not really coming from you. You'll feel way more empowered when you know, wow, I prepared this race on my own, without a trainer, without nobody. I was the one planning my workouts. I was the one doing them. I had nobody. I was working in the shadow. So when you're able to do that, you develop a strong self-confidence because you're in that process by yourself. You don't need anybody to push you. You don't need anybody to motivate you. You develop that internally. And I think that sometimes when people need motivation and they want to feel more confident, just spend more time with yourself and propose tough challenges for you and work them up, because in the end you will definitely feel a different relationship and definitely a stronger relationship with yourself.
Emerge Coaches Interview is a series focused on showcasing the expertise, process, and methodology of exceptional coaches or vetted individuals who are experts in various aspects of life. Our mission is to empower all of you who may be struggling in life by demonstrating that help is readily available. We want to serve as a bridge, connecting those in need with skilled coaches who can offer effective strategies and proven techniques for personal growth and transformation. By showcasing the success stories and insight of these exceptional coaches, we aim to convey the message that regardless of the challenges you may face, there are always ways to overcome and emerge stronger. Our guest today is Rúben Gomes, who's been strongly motivated by self-development and maximizing body and mind for the last 11 years. He also studied life coaching, nutrition, ultra running, sports psychology, and other sports and wellness matter, which allowed him to help transform lives of other people. His journey of perseverance, self discipline, and passion for helping people sparked from his humble beginning, being raised in a small environment full of stress, negativity, and with small opportunities, really motivated Ruben to break the boundaries and have that hunger for knowledge and to become the person he is today. I am excited for you to listen to this interview and learn more from Ruben's practices and methodologies that he has applied to himself and to other people that he had help with. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. Thank you so much, Ruben, for joining us here in Emerge Coaches Interview. Now, we've already conducted Emerge Stories where normal, regular people share their stories of struggle in a way where other people can be inspired that, even where you are, whoever you are, what state of life you're in, there's a way for you to really take ownership of your growth and learning. And aside from that, we're interviewing now people that we highly respect. And we know that will be someone who can help other people with their valuable insight and practical advices to really help our audience move towards the direction of taking ownership of growing themselves. And I'm very happy and excited to have you here and to share your story. How are you doing?
Well, I'm also very excited by having this opportunity. Thank you so much for inviting me to this project of yours, which I find really amazing to have resources and inspiration stories for local people to do something different in their life, probably take a step that they've been thinking for years. And I'm super happy that I can just share my experience, my knowledge, where I came from, how did I become who I am today, and hope that it's gonna impact in one way or another in someone's life or unlock someone to take action at some part of their life. So very grateful for that.
Thank you so much. And I'm so excited for us to share your stories as well and hopefully inspire other people to take, a step forward to improve themselves. Now, before we go and dive into your backstory, I just want to ask you this question, like, what are some of the ways that you actually enjoy helping other people?
Well, I have to say that since I've been so obsessed with optimizing mind and body and life, biohacking and everything, whenever I'm with someone, I generally share so much content, tools, and I do it like in such a way that sometimes when I talk with somebody that I just met after 1 hour of conversation, like because we are dwelling about those topics, I end up recommending different books and different tools and podcasts and YouTube channels because I genuinely believe that those tools are so helpful, and then they can create a positive impact in someone's life. And that's probably the thing that I have more pleasure with, is to kind of make it easier. I don't want this easier to be such a strong word, but make it
Mm-hmm.
easier for you to have access to something that actually change your life. Because that idea of somebody to have the click, that's why I love coaching as well, somebody to have this that click that, oh, I didn't think about that, right? Or, oh, I can actually do this. So
Mm-hmm.
seeing transformation on people, it's kind of what drives me. So from the years that I've done, from all my path, I'm super excited. So I usually do that in a very genuine way.
That's very beautiful. So what you're trying to do to in order for you to help people is basically giving them, like, suggesting some resources to them or those kind of things. And you mentioned about you've been so into optimizing your health, biohacking. What are those examples, specific examples that you can actually tell us here that you've been diving
Mhm.
into?
So, for example, sports. So, understanding how your body burns fat, understanding how your body builds muscle, understand what is the impact of a sport in the mind, different types of training, what is the impact on your body, on your performance. Then mixing that with nutrition, know everything about food, know everything about diets, if this is true, if this is false, like trying them for myself, learning what is the best and healthy way for me to eat, and know about all the areas, because nutrition is also
Mm-hmm.
a complicated area. There is not an absolute truth, right? And then things like be more productive, learning fast, sleep better, optimizing your sleep, know what are the tools that will help you having a better sleep so you can actually recover well during the night and feel better the next day. Also things like meditation. So I don't want to be here labeling all the areas, but I imagine myself, I start like with the years, I start to see the different areas of life around me, right? And those areas are like health, learning, your brain, your body, spirituality, relationship with oneself, the relationship with others, communication. So all the areas attached to self-development, well-being, I kind of went really deep on each one so I could, okay, maybe now I want to optimize sleep because I didn't really dwell into it so much. So I'm going to learn about that.
Wow, that's very diverse. So you're basically, you can touch on health, nutrition, well-being, like spirituality and all of those things. So we're going to dive in on those topic one by one later on. But
Mhm.
before that, I want to go back in your backstory and personal journey of how did you develop such keen interest, and what was your journey like in becoming this person that I am talking right now?
Yeah, well, that's actually a very good question that I usually remember my process where I came from, to always keep myself humble and keep myself motivated on being a better person, but also never the roots, and be thankful for anything that happened to you in your past, because that made you who you are today, right? So I was raised in a very small environment with not a lot of opportunities, right? Small village. And also my parents, they worked a lot, and I grew up in an environment full of stress, negativity, problems, conflicts. So I grew up in this tough environment,
Mhm.
emotionally and also financially. And my mother always used to say to me, "Oh, study so you can be someone in life." And I think that be someone in life got really into my head, because when I
Mhm.
was a teenager, I remember that I thought to myself, man, you are a blank page.
Mm.
You worth nothing. If you want to be someone, you need to make yourself. And that's where all this motivation came of me wanting to break boundaries, not wanting to be just like a person in a village that, yeah, I grew up here and I have opportunities. So later on, I moved into a city I was born. But I had that hunger for knowledge. And I remember that the initial process of self development that I started was related to communication.
Mm-hmm.
By that time, I thought that, oh, communication is actually what takes you anywhere. If you know how to communicate with people, if you know how to deal with people, if you know
Yeah.
different languages, you can get pretty much anything you want because you need interaction, right? So I didn't have any money to buy courses or something. I was like already 17, but I had internet. And
Mm-hmm.
internet, actually, you can use it for so many great things. So
Exactly.
by 17, I was already very into exploring the internet and learning, right? So the next years of that, just to sum it up a little bit, were basically just me getting more and more obsessed year by year in a positive way, not in a negative way, on building myself,
Mm-hmm.
learning. And then I was a little bit fat when I was 14. So then I started
Mm-hmm.
into sports and I started to be really obsessed with nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
exercise. So I could never go back to that fat posture again. And I
Mm-hmm.
could always be such a healthier person. And that passion and connection, because when you become a healthier person, you kind of, I think it would be really hard to go back because you
Yeah.
just feel so good with yourself. You feel that you have more energy, you feel that your relationship with others improve, and you just
Mm-hmm.
feel more energetic and well all around. So I was just hunger for learning more about nutrition, about exercise, about productivity. I wanted to be productivity at university, manage my time.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you start to kind of look for these things, it never ends, right? Because one path opens another. You go to nutrition. Now there is intermittent fasting. Oh, what is this? Like super disruptive thing. So let's try it.
Mm-hmm.
And that hunger made me invest day after day on myself. From nutrition, I went to biohacking in terms of, okay, how do I have more energy? How is my energy in different times of the day? Sleep, how can I learn faster? How
Mm-hmm.
can I be more productive? How can I focus better? Then meditation as well. Then habits like journaling, like these small routines that can help you just learn so much about yourself.
Right. Now,
Yeah.
before we go deep on those, like you mentioned before, that you started having that like moment where you get very immersed into learning so much is this word from your mom, be someone in life, to be someone. And that leads you to be motivated in learning more. And you started first with learning different language because you believe that having that communication skill would be a very powerful tool for you to become someone in life or to achieve success potentially. So what are the language that you can speak other than
So,
English and Portuguese?
so other than English and Portuguese, I speak Catalan and Spanish because
Mm-hmm.
I've been living in Barcelona for the last 7 years. I can also speak Italian and I speak, let's say, intermediary French. So
Wow,
six languages
that's
in total. Yeah.
that's very impressive. How did you practice? Because I tried learning language, but it's very difficult. How are you able to learn all of those language? Did you do it all at once, or what was your process like?
No, it was actually very linear to learn all of them at once, but I did learn all of them without spending $1. So I learned everything for free. I learned Spanish before even moving to Spain. So I
Mm-hmm.
started to learn in Portugal. I just used Duolingo and podcasts every day. So that's what I do when I learn a language. I do it every day for 15 to 30 minutes, but I keep the consistent every day. So my brain gets really overloaded with the language. I remember when I was learning Spanish, I was even going to sleep and I was putting like Spanish novels on my phone just to fall asleep with listening the language, just trusting my brain that it will learn something, right? But actually, it ended up really well. And what I do usually is immerse myself in the
Mm-hmm.
language. So that means I use different channels, and all of them are enjoyable. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
studying grammar. I'm not reading a book of the language. I'm not attending classes. So I usually use Duolingo. Duolingo is amazing to get a really
All right.
solid foundation and for you to make exercises. And it's easy to do anywhere, every day. I always use a podcast as well. Then I listen to music from the language that I'm learning to. And then I start to watch some series or movies from that. I don't do that a
Mm-hmm.
lot because I'm not really a person who watches series or movies. But when I do, oh, since I'm already spending this time, I want to watch something, then I just watch that in the language that I'm kind of wanting to practice. So yeah, it
Exactly.
just adds a bit more. It's not about being productive all the time. It's about, yeah, having another purpose on what I do.
Right.
And then as soon as you can, let's say after you have a solid base that you can speak a little bit with people, then just have no shame and practice. And if you can travel a couple of weeks or 3 weeks, which what I did in Italy, for example, to that country, and you can practice a bit more and you listen. So you have like this little crash course in a few weeks in the country that will
Mm-hmm.
kind of help you speed up a little bit your learning process. But before that, it comes the part that you need to build, which is that foundation. You need to be able to keep a basic conversation so then you can speak. But having no shame is also, like I would say, two secrets, right? The first is
Okay.
consistent every day, just do something. Doesn't matter the channel that you use, but do something about the language. And second, don't be ashamed of
Mm-hmm.
speaking out loud
Exactly.
even if you don't master the language, which is something that I did with Spanish. I mean, I did my 3 interviews before moving to Spain in Spanish, and I was not speaking perfect Spanish yet. My accent was really not on the point. I was mixing some words, but I was speaking like I dominated the language already. Like I
Wow.
don't care, this is what Spanish right now. I do it, and eventually people will correct you, and then you learn
Then you can
bit
learn.
by
Yeah.
bit, and you learn way faster because if I say a wrong word and someone corrects me, next time my brain is not gonna do the same mistake again usually. So
Exactly.
that's kind of what I
And
use, but effort is needed. Yeah.
definitely, I totally agree with that. And I think part of learning is also, you know, integrating something that you already enjoy doing and adding a learning side of it. So, as you said, you're not really reading like the textbook of how to learn Spanish. Instead, you're doing something that you already love, which is, let's say, watching a movie or listening to a music or podcast. But because you're interested in learning the language, which is Spanish at the time, you try to learn or listen and watch with Spanish language. So I think that's a beautiful thing when you have, when you see learning as a fun way of
Mm,
doing. I think that's
absolutely.
very, very important. Now, because in my journey, it's like just doing a little bit to improve myself and seeing my progress, that actually motivates me to enjoy more. And I was thinking at first, I decided to work on my health physically. And when I
Hmm.
see after 2 weeks of consistently working out, I was like, oh my God, I can change my body physically. So what
Yeah.
else can I change? So that is
Hmm.
my motivate that motivates me to actually check of other parts of my life that I can change and improve. So you were doing a lot of things. So you started with the language. Where did you see or did you feel this kind of progress that also led you, motivate you to do other parts of life, like a biohacking, how to learn better or health wise?
Yeah, definitely. I think the mental process of learning a language is really amazing because in the initial part you have, at least for me, I'm very impatient and I kind of don't like to be a beginner on anything, so I try to be good at something really fast. So I really try to jump that beginner part as fast as I can, and not be a pro, right? Because I don't like to focus on just one thing, but be good at something like really quick. So that makes me like in the first part of the language, I'm really crazy too. I just want to speak already, right? But that's not possible. So it takes some time. So then frustration comes. Like, oh, I don't know
Mm,
yet. I cannot speak. So you need to endure that. And like many things in life, right? We just need to endure for a little bit more. And in that moment, it's just about focusing on the day. I
Mhm.
do it. I use that for meditation as well. Don't think about, oh, am I progressing? Am I doing better? No, ignore that for a while. Just focus on putting the step every day. And suddenly you realize that you've been doing it for the last 6 months, and then you'll see the difference. Like you will realize immediately. But I think sometimes it's good to done process is way more important than the result.
Mhm.
But sometimes if you're getting frustrated that, oh, I don't see progress, no, just believe in the consistency. Because
Mhm.
sometimes, and that happens also with changing your body when you're doing like diets or exercise,
Mhm.
sometimes you're not seeing a lot of differences, but just trust the process and put the effort every day, because motivation is just a spark for
Mhm.
things to happen. Motivation is not really the long lasting fire that makes you do things, right? Motivation is you can listen, and I listen to that during a lot of years every day, motivational videos in the morning. They really help me to set the mindset for the day. But that's just the spark. Then you need the discipline. Discipline is actually what makes dreams come true. Like
Mhm.
the discipline to every day go to the gym, even if you don't have motivation, because you're not gonna
Right.
always have motivation. In the races that I've done in the last years, I had to work out, I had to train 6 days a week, multiple sessions
Mhm.
sometimes. And I can tell that 70-80% of all my sessions, I was not motivated. I didn't want to go, but I went anyway, because it's about the discipline, and it's about,
Yeah.
okay, today, this is what I need to do. And tomorrow is tomorrow, but today, now. And that's usually what I say to friends or people,
Mhm.
that they say, oh, I want to run, but now I cannot run 5K anymore. I don't have time today. Okay, if you don't have time, what is the smallest step you can do today to get closer? Maybe run for 5 minutes, maybe run for 10,
Right.
but at least just put it, just show up. I think that's really a good mindset to have with anything.
Yeah, I really love that word. Like, discipline yourself, even though you're not motivated to do the thing that you set up to do. But if you can just do a little bit, just be consistent with the process that you're doing. And eventually, that self discipline will just turn into a habit. And once it becomes a habit, it will
Yeah,
not take much willpower anymore because your body will just automatically respond to it. So
absolutely. Yeah.
that's beautiful. Now, other than learning language and when it comes to fitness, what were those things that you actually really dive into and really, got very, let's say, how do you say that? Very familiar with or really
Mhm.
can talk about like fitness, nutrition.
I would say that, and things get gray because self development is such a huge category,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I would say, and also with the last 5 years where I studied coaching, I studied sports psychology, I was very into ultra running and endurance sports, and always improving my life in one way or another. I would say that something that I'm very familiar with is about how to improve your life
Mm-hmm.
and improve yourself. It doesn't matter where you are, but we are always dealing with obstacles. We are always dealing with insecurities. We are
Right.
like, life is like that. You're not going to have a balance with everything all the time, right? And I don't have that. I believe that nobody can achieve that. So we are always struggling in an area or another. And I think that with all the tools and knowledge and studies that I've done, I became really natural on providing solutions to people on anything. Either, oh, I want to lose weight, or I want to improve my relationship with nutrition, or I want to achieve this project. I want to do this. I want to do that. So it's basically, it's hard for me to put it in words,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more about what's going on in your head.
Right.
And by knowing that a lot because of my experience and because of
Mm-hmm.
knowing psychology, knowing about people, having had a lot of experience on sales that I deal with a lot of people, kind of made me be really fluent on how we think.
So walk us through of the process that or the methodology that you actually use to help someone who wants to improve their life. Like how can you help that person? What does the process look like?
Yeah, so some of the process that I did already with coaching clients in the past, I usually provide a tool where they can assess the different areas of their life: finance, relationship with oneself. So first they develop the awareness that, okay, how is my life? How are the different areas? And what is the area that I feel like I want to work on, right? Because we cannot do anything at the same time. But
Right.
maybe if we work on an aspect of our lives, like of ourself, maybe our self-confidence, or maybe our relationship with traumas or whatever, that will impact the way we are with our partner, that will impact the way we are at work, right? But it usually starts with ourselves. So you should start with that, or like develop the awareness to have like
Mhm.
a more higher perspective on what's going on and what the person wants to work on, because that usually helps them define a goal to work on. Then we narrow that goal, like we make that goal a SMART goal, okay, like specific, measurable, attainable, timely, and forgot the last, and realistic. Yeah, relevant.
Realistic.
Sorry,
Mhm.
relevant, realistic. So we will really make it like really narrow down, really clean and achievable goal. And then the process is 7 sessions. Every 2 weeks we have a session usually, and in each session we focus on having one step closer to the end goal. But each session is focused on one topic. Okay, so that would be like a process that I would use for someone who wants to change something in their lives, and that I've used in the past with people that wanted to probably improve their self-confidence, or some way they are like acting in their lives and they want to be better. So more of this methodology, and then in each session depends on where is the theme of the session. I can use some tools, some dynamics with the body as well, some meditations, visualizations, depending on the person and
Mhm.
the process. I can use like different tools. Other
Nice.
methodologies that I've used with other clients is more related to transformation process. Okay, so with transformation, which is something that I actually want to focus more on. With transformation, we are not talking just about, okay, I want to feel more confidence, I want to be more assertive, I want to find what I want to do in life. These things can be tackled with the standard coaching procedure, like I said before.
Mhm.
But when we come to a transformation process, we are speaking, for example, a person that is not happy with the body and wants to transform their body, but at the same time transform also the relationship they have with food, maybe learn how to cook a little bit, be more autosufficient with how they deal with their nutrition. At the same time, be a more disciplined person, develop some habits. So again, we cannot do everything at once, but with a person like that, with that transformation process, I would work on more practical
Mhm.
actions. A
Right.
part of having talks with the person, one-to-one reflections to see, okay, what do you feel when you eat, when you feel anxiety while eating? But then it's really about assessing the person as system, an
Mhm.
holistic way. Understand that that person wants to go to the gym because they are not happy with their body, but we
Right.
need to understand what is the chronotype, for example, of that person. How does the
Mhm.
energy work? When do they have more energy? So it's really about fine tuning each aspect of the life that the person wants to improve, providing micro routines. Maybe if they want to build habits, well, we can start in a progressive way. So I would do this like a project,
Mhm.
right? So by phases. So we cannot, a person that is not developed any habits and suddenly they want to go to the gym and eat well and do everything and do meditation, we need to go slow, right?
Mhm.
So maybe we can start with 2, 3 habits, but I see them as building blocks. So we build the blocks first. Okay, when these 3 blocks are set like stone, then we add another more. Maybe now we add 5 minutes of meditation. But it's about like helping people transforming their lives and then not depending on me.
Right.
So that's what I've achieved in the past, that in the process, I try to educate and share my information. So after the process they have with me, after this transformation, they are able to maybe even do their workout plan for the gym, or know that they can replace one exercise to the other. They know that, oh, if I ate a lot at lunch today, maybe I should do dinner this way. So I like to do things in a way that people start to think by themselves. Like
Right.
the old story, teach them how to fish, don't give them a fish, right? Because I don't want to be dependent on people. I don't want to be the accountability partner forever. I really want, and this is something that I developed for myself, I want people to have that strong relationship with themselves. And they have this voice in the backside of their head that says, hey man, today is time to work out. I know you don't want, but it's time. So I want them to develop this. What I kind of found that I developed, which is like two Rubens in my head, right? And there is always one talking with the other. And one is like the weak one that wants to be lazy, and the other is the one saying, no, like today we got to do this. So I want to kind of plant that seed in people so they, because when they see that they're able to bring that up, they feel more secure about themselves. If you do something, if you go to the gym because I told you so, it's not really coming from you. You'll feel way more empowered when you know, wow, I prepared this race on my own without a trainer, without nobody. I was the one planning my workouts. I was the one doing them. I had nobody. I was working in the shadow. So when you're able to do that, you develop a strong self-confidence because you're in that process by yourself. You don't need anybody to push you. You don't need anybody to motivate you. You develop that internally. And I think that sometimes when people need motivation and they want to feel more confident, just spend more time with yourself and propose tough challenges for you and work them up, because in the end you will definitely feel a different relationship and definitely a stronger relationship with yourself. That's what
Definitely. That's very beautiful. And it really resonates so much with what we're doing here in Emerge PH, which is to really, inspire people to take the lead in their life. And I love how you do all your coaching sessions with your client. You're not just telling them what to do, but you're actually guiding them in a way like they can be on their own. And even without you, they would still be able to continue those habits, those discipline that they've acquired and learned from you. So it's really good. And if you can actually, you've mentioned about clients in the past and being able to do this process with them. Can you share a story of someone, a client of yours who had like a success journey going through this process, and how was that journey? Looks like how did it start and what was the end result?
Yeah. So one of my first clients, she's a friend of mine today, very good friend of mine, and he still thanks me for the work we've done 3 years ago. And so it was in a part of his life that he was not confident about himself. He didn't feel secure to be his best at work. Also, he recently broke up with his girlfriend at the time. And he was feeling that the relationship with himself was very weak, very fragile. And he really wanted to develop this self-love, to develop this self-belief, and change his life, feel more confident. So basically, we did the coaching process, and I started like the way we said, and only by the tool of being aware of how is your life, this was already very enlightening, because sometimes we just have things on our heads, and when we actually put them in the paper and look with perspective, we realize so many things that we're not aware of. So along that process, we really worked deep on understanding the behind reasons for what was happening to him, for his self-talk, and he's a person that is very analytical. He works in IT, so a person that is very methodic, very rational, extremely analytic about himself. So a person that actually needs someone to make the tough questions, to kind of take them off his inner speech that is just going around and around. You need like to take him out a little bit and ask a question so he's like out of his narrative and actually, oh, I didn't think about that. So the end of the process was very successful because, and I'm super proud of who he is today and how he changed along the years. But it was extremely successful because it didn't need me anymore after those 7 sessions. All the tools that we worked together, everything that I provided to him. He started to do meditation, started to do yoga every day. He's way more in yoga than right now are into meditation. He actually did a Buddhist retreat 2 weeks ago,
Wow.
and he sent me a huge message thanking that this process is also yours. And I thank you, as I always say, for having sparkled this process in me. So for me, that is a very successful project because he changed his life through yoga. He strengthened the relationship he had with himself. He started to have this moment of connection, and he started from zero. He never did yoga before. He was not really a spiritual person, and now he's one of the most spiritual persons that I know. But at the same time, he's still very like normal that he discovered this and now he's stuck there. But he really strengthened the relationship with himself. And we are talking about the person that was insecure, that, oh, I'm not enough. Things also provided by education, by the parents. I'm not enough. I'm very self-demanding. So now we are talking about a person who actually believes way more in himself, who achieved amazing feats in sports, who achieved constant yoga, who is more in love with himself and actually takes the time to get the mat, go to the beach, roll out the mat and do yoga in front of the beach with the sun and actually enjoys this. He could not do that before. And now he looks for ways to kind of have these moments with himself. It's meditation, it's yoga, it's sport, and also journaling a lot. And then all the tools that we use in the process, he still uses it. So all of these habits that we work together, that I provide to him as well, and that I started to use, really made him transform his life and relationship with himself. But that change became permanent. It just became part of who he is right now. So he is now a person who yoga is normal, like brushing teeth, meditation the same,
routine.
Every day, journaling. And when we meet up and we talk, he is so different. Like he's not in that narrative that is like hiding things, just like making you believe. He now understands, oh, I feel this, but there is that. He's way more gentle with himself. So progress, and it's amazing to see that after 3 years that still keeps going and goes better and better. And I just did the 7 sessions, I was with him for 2 months. That's all the work I've done. Yeah.
And that is amazing how, that would say simple or just a short period of time that you became part of that person's life and now who he is in his entirety. It's such a beautiful process how he became who he is now because of your help. Like you spark that, you help him to go through that journey. And wow, it must be very fulfilling for you to be able to see such transformation to someone that you actually help and care about, and be able to see it visibly and continually growing. So that's amazing. Now, for people, because sometimes there are people who are stuck in their life and they need help, but they actually don't know that they need help. What does a person look like, or how does a state of a person who you would actually say that, okay, man, you really need some help, or you would need to seek some guidance? Like, what would that person look like or be?
It's a very sensible question because before some years ago, I used to believe that everybody needs help, everyone needs to do this. And I was sharing my advices in a more guiding way. Oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. But then I realized, and I kind of also, there was a bit part of the ego as well, of me wanting people to do what I learned. So after I disconnected a bit of more of that, you cannot help people who don't want to be helped. And awareness is the start of everything. If you're not aware that you feel in a certain way, you obviously won't ask for help on that. So I cannot really say, one thing that I could say to be my judgment is, if you see someone who is not satisfied with their life, which talking with some people, sometimes I usually do, because we all struggle with something. So, I don't sleep well, I have insomnia, or I wake up, I start to make questions just to understand better. Oh, are you usually with your phone before going to sleep? Oh, yeah, I am. Oh, have you tried to do this? Maybe leave your phone 2 hours before, don't have lights. I kind of make questions to understand the setup of the person.
Mhm.
Then I just share information. I don't impose anything. I just share in a way that, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Because people don't like to be told what to do.
Mhm.
I think the best way for us to help people that are probably not satisfied with their life because they are sharing with you some discomfort, either with the body, either with the work, whatever, right? So if you show discomfort something, you would obviously like to have that better, right? And I think the best way to help those people, being very empathetic with them,
Mhm.
is ask questions. Ask questions so that person ends up putting out of their mouth the words of discomfort. Oh, I've not been sleeping well. Oh, how do you feel during the day? Well, I feel this, I feel that. Oh, what if you could feel energetic? And so basically that will make them, oh, yeah, I'll feel much better. So
Mhm.
then from that setting, they are open to receive. Otherwise, they will not be, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm not gonna, you know.
Right.
So first you kind of
Exactly.
need to, if they are not aware and if you see that needs to come out of their mouths.
Right. Yeah, because sometimes I think the mistake that a lot of people do is that when, let's say, a close friend would come to you and would whine about some struggles or problem that they're experiencing in their life, our automatic response, at least for me, my automatic response is, oh, I care about this person and I want to help. So I would jump right away to giving advice, assuming that I understand what's going on. But
Mhm.
mostly, I only give advice based on my own experience, and it may be totally different from that person. So it really makes sense. I love it when you said, just ask question, be more curious. And I think that way that would also give that person a feeling of, oh my God, someone is listening to me. I feel heard. I feel understood. Someone is
Yep.
curious. Then they would be more open and like very receptive to whatever advice that you will give, or some suggestion options, or potentially you asking them question, they would just come up with solution on their own, or realize like, oh, I haven't been sleeping well because I've been using my phone the whole time. So that's a very good way to help those people. So thank you so much. Now, just to wrap up this conversation, I just want to ask this question as well. Like, I know you've been someone who really works so much for yourself, study, learn a lot, even now in a place where you're now willing and able to help other people. But if you were to hire like a life coach for yourself, like what area of your growth would you seek help with?
That's quite easy because it's something that has been on my mind. And I would say just having more clarity, how can I actually impact people? How can I explode with everything that I have inside? So I've been a third of my life investing daily on being a better person, having more knowledge, working on different areas of your life, improving my life. And of course, I've already worked with other people on that. I always try to impact even a little bit of the life of every person that I meet, especially now that I'm traveling a bit around the world. I meet a lot of different people, so I try to do that in every occasion that I have. But I still struggle to have, I do have a lot of ideas and I do have a lot of things, but I would ask, I would work with a coach on, for example, having way more clarity, like a solid clarity on the how does it look like this project that I can actually bring my whole self into it and share everything that I have inside, all my years of experience, everything that, like I did it a little bit here today, but doing that in a bigger scale so I can figure even more.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so someone that would actually help you like package the skills and ability that you have right now to be able to scale it and help more people. That's beautiful. Well, hopefully we can find that person for you so you'll be able to really, amplify the impact. Someone that could amplify your impact to
Yeah.
other people. That would be wonderful. And, if you were speaking with someone who wants to take more ownership of their personal growth journey, what are some of the resources that has helped you emerge as a better version of yourself, if you can provide them with, some examples?
Yes, I think one of my principles, and that comes because I was born and raised in a very poor environment without
Mhm.
resources. One of my principles is that you don't always have to spend money on this course, that especially nowadays, there is so much marketing, there is so much information. So start by taking that barrier out,
Mhm.
and the internet can be used for so much growth if you just put the focus on the right thing. So using YouTube, I'm a huge fan of YouTube, and I think there are so many great channels on YouTube, like Huberman Lab, for example, which is a neuroscientist who gives so many great topics and value about life, about well-being. This is just one example. So you have amazing books, you have amazing podcasts, and you have YouTube to see videos. It's about, I wouldn't say that it's about just what you like more, because I think in books, for example, you have huge knowledge from so many decades in just like 300 pages. So even if,
300
yeah,
decades. So that's where
yeah, the knowledge of decades in like 300 pages. And if
Mhm.
you're that person who doesn't love read, which I was, and I still struggle with reading a lot, but read, listen to audiobooks, just, yeah, follow the experts. That's something that I did a lot. Follow people that are successful, and learn from them. One thing that really helped me grow faster in my journey was, why do I have to hit the head on the wall when somebody already did it? So
Right.
I'm just going to learn from everyone. So I try to learn from everyone, try to pack my
Mhm.
self journey, my
That's
self
a
growth
good
journey
good
into,
way.
if a person was an alcoholic, have an accident, and at 40 years old realize that, oh, running changed my life and my addiction, and learn the story of that person and how they changed. If you are in that point, it's going to help you. But if you're not, that's going to like
Right.
prevent you from getting there, right?
Right.
So that's something that I really advise,
Mhm.
to just learn from people, learn from different people, and using the different resources, the ones that suit better your lifestyle. Sometimes it's not about forcing things, it's about finding the right moment and the right tool for you. Same with languages, same with exercise, and with everything. It's about connecting with yourself, knowing how is your lifestyle, knowing when you have time to read, and knowing the tools that are more fit to that. It's not about reading a book because you or somebody said for you to read the book in that time.
I totally agree with that. And who would you say your mentors or teachers that you've learned from?
I wouldn't say a lot about people.
Mhm.
I do have a lot of people that I learn from, but I try to be very detached
Mm.
from disciplines, from wanting to be like someone else.
What are some of the habits that you can recommend to people that really help you so much in becoming a better version of yourself? And some of the books that you can name, if you can
Mhm.
name one or two books that really help you as well.
Okay, so I think meditation,
Mhm.
meditation every day, because I think that's probably the habit that I felt that propagated through all the areas of my life. It just increases your awareness in such a way that it changes the way you feel about yourself, the way you perceive the world around you. It gives you tools for, it's just like one habit that has so much expansion, right? So definitely that is a must in my opinion.
Mhm.
And then journaling as well. I think without thinking too much, just like write down in the morning, it helps us to have more perspective about our lives, about what's going on in our head without just keeping it here.
Mhm.
And then it helps us to live our life in a stronger way, because we are just so aware of how are we living every day that we end up in the end of the year feeling, wow, I've done a lot, because you're really present on
All right.
everything, because you wrote all of it. You kind
Mhm.
of feel that you actually had an amazing year, and you feel the time just passed through that. And then the third habit that I would say is just do some sort of activity.
activity? Like, do you have a specific activity that you can recommend? Like, what kind of activities?
Like improve your nutrition, like just
Mhm.
eat better, because that will change also the way you feel and probably help change your body to better, feel more energetic. And also exercise, any type of exercise, but move, be active. We are not a being made to be seated all day. We have strong muscles. We have a body that we can use for so many activities. But just use it. Maybe start with something that you like, or do like me and start something that you hate, which is what was running, and I end up loving it. But move. So many people, some people sometimes they are blind.
So
Let's say,
meditation,
hopefully,
yeah,
yeah.
meditation, journaling, and moving your body, may it be like exercise, running, or things like that. I think those were,
Anything, yeah.
yeah.
Just start with anything, and probably
Mhm.
then you'll progress from there. One thing that I think is important is that we try different things. We don't stay just to one thing because oh maybe I like no like try. I didn't like running, but then I
Mhm.
did a Spartan race and I discovered wow I love this. This is incredible.
Nice.
So from there, I started to run in the mountains. I fell in love with it. I fell in love with obstacle course races,
Mhm.
and I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't tried, right? So
Right.
try new things. Which would be your next passion? So you need to kind of
Exactly.
put it out, try, have fun. Yeah. So those habits, I think they are just simple. They shouldn't take a lot of effort, and they can have a really big impact in your life. And regarding books, though, what you asked me before, I do have
Mhm.
4 books that improved my life in a big, big way. One is a very old book, but probably one of the most selling books in all the time, which is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Even that
Mm.
the title sounds very salesy, it's not really about that. It's actually a book that gives you so many amazing lessons on
Mm.
how to communicate with people and how to manage relationships better with people by really putting yourself in there. And that's going to help you with friendships, with your partner, with sales if you work in sales, with
Mhm.
anything, any relationship. It's just about knowing how to interact better with people. Then The Power of Now
Nice. I
is
love
a
that
book
book.
that really, yeah, it's a book that really helped me shifting from running all the time and think about the future and the past to actually, okay, right now at this second, which problem do I have? None. At this moment, none. Maybe in 5 minutes I have something, but so it's a book that it helps you really take a step back on your life and live a more meaningful life in a more slow way mentally
Mhm.
by being fully present and enjoy the moments without traveling to the past.
Yeah.
Then the book Can't Hurt Me, I think is an
Mm.
amazing book for life transformation, for you to see the story of someone who became someone incredible but was overweight and was nobody incredible,
Mhm.
and showing that you can do that as well. So it's a book that kind of empowers you to be better and to actually believe more in yourself, that you can go way far
Mhm.
than what you think you can. And
Nice.
lastly, it's a book that you can read every day because it's a 1 day reflection. And it's a book about Stoicism. So every day is one reflection. And it's a book that Stoicism, for the ones who don't know, it's just a philosophy that helps you live a better life. For example, you don't judge things as good or bad. So I feel that with just 2 minutes a day, because it's the time that you take to read the reflection, that's also a good way to kind of set the mood for the day.
Mhm.
And for me, it really helped me changing the way, improving the way I look at bad moments in life, tough situations, unexpected things that happen. So it's basically stoicism that will help you live a happier and easier life because you'll just change your perspective with many things. So those are the 4 that I would say that made more impact in my life.
That's beautiful. I only read out of the 4 The Power of Now, and I would definitely agree. It really lives. It's a very impactful and powerful book. And I definitely want to read the rest of it. So for all of our listener, we'll definitely put all those books in the show notes later on. And the three habits that you mentioned earlier, those were the things that I've been doing. And I would say meditation really helped me calm myself instead of like having a lot of thoughts coming into my head. And journaling for me is a way of me really looking at how I'm actually talking to myself. Like, oh my God, I have so much negative self-talk. Like, look at these words that I'm using right now. So that helped me notice that and really see it. And the moving part, the working out, exercise, and even joining Spartan race, I thought of myself as very clumsy and weak, but I was so surprised, like, oh my God, I can actually do the Spartan race. I'm able to do that and finish it. And it feels so rewarding. And I feel so powerful and strong being able to do that. So it's definitely something that I also would suggest people to actually do those habits and really look for books that would help you. I think that concludes our conversation today. Thank you so much, Ruben, for joining us here and sharing some of your knowledge and experience to the people, the Emerge audience. We really appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Gladys, thank you so much.
Yay.